Now, because we don't have enough nurses, do you think that will affect the healthcare reform?
I think as long as nurses are included in healthcare reform, if we're really including them in the policy decisions that are made, I think we will again retain the workforce we have and more likely to recruit and attract new nurses. And I think that's why it's so critical that they be included in the process. And again, as I mentioned about advanced practice nurses, but even staff nurses being recognized. We need to make sure that they are allowed to practice optimally as other healthcare providers are.
Actually, of course, you know, when you first graduate from any college, you're very smart. That's the smartest time you know of in your life. And but nurses really do graduate with a great body of knowledge, and I don't know that it's ever really appreciated in many settings. Have you found that, other than the patients who think they're trust them more than any other profession, have you found that nurses feel a little bit maybe demoralized when they find that their knowledge, the base that they've accomplished, is ignored?
I think that's true, and I think that could be true in any profession. But I think there's some healthcare employers that are doing great jobs, a great job of recognizing the contributions of nursing and empowering them to make decisions about the workplace, about patient care. Some of those facilities are actually designated magnet facilities by the American Nurses Credentialing Center, and I think that's really something that we would like all facilities to aspire to. And we know that it also we have better retention in those particular facilities. The nurses are better educated. There's better retention, better patient outcomes. And you know, to replace a nurse, it's so expensive. I mean, if every healthcare facility would take a look at how much it costs for them to replace a nurse, it's about 1.1 to 1.6% of a nurse's salary, and the average, or the mean salary in 2007 was just over $60,000. So if you're spending $60,000 to bring in a new nurse because somebody else has left who's unhappy, by the time you get through the recruitment and the orientation, that's a significant number of dollars. It's better to retain, and you have the continuity as well.
Well, excuse me, we know how important it is, and I don't really know what it's going to take more than what we're doing to cause young women and young men to be more interested in nursing.
I think it's continuing again with legislation that addresses workplace issues. I mean, we'd like to think that every healthcare facility would step up to the plate and do the right thing, and make sure that they're providing appropriate levels of staffing, and they're prohibiting mandatory overtime. It's only used in emergent situations. They're safe environments for both the patients and the employees. There's manual lifting is not tolerated. I mean, we'd like to think that all those things are going to happen, but we just know that it's not going to happen. So we really do need to legislate and regulate, unfortunately, some of these areas in order to ensure that we have an adequate workforce now and going forward into the future.
It's very much of an investment that one gives of their life to become a registered professional nurse, and then to be in an environment where you have to work 12-hour days. It's kind of hard if you're going to do what you've been taught to do.
Exactly. And the other concern, too, is that we worry very much and we monitor very carefully the attempt to increase the level of responsibility by unlicensed personnel or assisted personnel. You can call them a number of things: nurse aides, patient care technicians. They have a myriad of titles. But it's very of great concern to us when we see more and more given to those individuals at the same time that the nurse is responsible for directing and supervising those individuals. So now you not only have your own responsibilities with your patient care, you now are overseeing other individuals who are less trained, and it's pretty frightening.
It is, because you always know the part that's not recognized more so than anyone else.
Exactly.
And our nursing homes have seemingly gotten to the point where they don't really want to hire a lot of registered nurses because they don't want to pay them.
Correct.
And so consequently, each study they do around this country, our nursing homes usually rate a little bit low.
Yes. The nursing homes typically will staff, or I shouldn't say all, but many staff just to the minimum requirements by Medicare, and that's to have one RN in the building for 8 hours every 24 hours. So potentially you have 2 shifts there, there's no registered nurse in the building. Pretty frightening.
It is very frightening.
As we age.
Yes. Now, I guess since we're talking about a Medicare reimbursement and meeting that standard, that's somewhat of a low standard, but I guess they do it because their nurses are not available, or?
No, I think it's cost. I think it's cost. I do think they sometimes have difficulty attracting registered nurses to nursing homes, but I think some of that comes with the pay and the benefits, not completely, because there are RNs that are passionate about caring for gerontological population. I'm one of them. So it isn't all about pay, but I think it's sometimes that it goes back to reimbursement too, that they're cutting their costs, keeping their costs as low as possible, and they do so by hiring personnel, other personnel.
Well, somehow we've got to get through this with everything else becoming more high-tech and actually a little bit more complicated.
Much more.
Than what we had to deal with in the past. This is a situation that absolutely must be given some attention.
Right. And I think because the shortage, the current shortage, is multifaceted. Again, it's the aging workforce, the growing demand, and the reduction in number of graduates, that we also have to approach it multifaceted, a multi-pronged approach. It's not so simple, and it's like healthcare reform. It's not simple. It has to be attacked from various approaches. So. It's a challenge, but I think we're all optimistic with the new administration, very optimistic, and I know the states have been working on it. Healthcare reform, a number of them have been working to advance healthcare reform at the state level. So I'm optimistic going forward.
If a young lady decided, or man decided to say to you, I'd like to become a nurse, what do I do?
I'd say, first of all, thank you, congratulations, it's a great decision. I would have them explore what they think they would like to do as far as their career, and then find the best program that's going to fit their needs. And it could be an associate degree community college initially, depending on affordability, their needs. It could be going directly into the university with pursuing a baccalaureate degree. But I'd say your options are endless. There's so much you can do in nursing. It's been a wonderful career for me.
It really is probably the most diverse career, because you can choose to be in schools, even home care,
absolutely,
physician offices, institutional care, planning. You don't have to be at the bedside all the time, but you can be doing the theory and the planning. So I just don't know of another profession that is more diverse and have more opportunities.
I don't either. I have no regrets. It's fabulous.
Nor do I, and there's no other profession that has the greatest satisfaction. So thank you. I want you to keep up the great work. We've got to have more nurses. It is very, very important to health care in this country. Be a nurse, and I'll see you next week.
This has been another edition of Report from Washington, featuring Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. You can reach Congresswoman Johnson at 202-225-8885 or 214-922-8885. You can also contact her through her website at http://www.house.gov/ebjohnson.